Hi, I'm Rob Alderman and I'm one of the training officers at the Engineering Trust. I just thought it'd be quite nice today to share some of my thoughts with you when filling out your application forms for a prospective apprenticeship. As a training officer, one of my roles is to also get involved in recruitment. And part of my role in recruitment is carrying out telephone interviews. Now, before I carry out a telephone interview, I would always look at the application form. Now, one of the things with application forms, we get to see lots of them. We get to see ones that are very well filled out, just filled out, and hardly filled out at all, and everything in between. Now, what I would say today is that what you need to think about with application forms is this is your first introduction to a prospective employer. So you need to make sure that it stands out. Now you may think it's going to be quite difficult for me as a 16-year-old maybe for my application form to stand out because I haven't really done anything. Well, one of the things I will say is when you start to fill out the application form and you answer the questions that it's asking, you'll realise you've actually done quite a lot. So if we head to the first part of it, which is contact information. Now, with the contact information, make sure that you spout your name correctly, your address correctly, your postcode is in there. Also, make sure your phone number's correct. Now, I know as a youngster that you have phones, you change phones and you change numbers regularly. Now, in changing numbers regularly, you need to ensure that you always have your latest phone number on your application form, because if we need to contact you and your phone number is not correct, we don't really have any way of getting hold of you other than sending you a letter. And one of the problems with sending you a letter is that position may have already been filled by somebody that put their correct phone number down. Now, the other thing to think about with contact details is email addresses. Now, while when you were younger, that email address was very funny and all of your friends found it very funny, just think about a prospective employer. Rightly or wrongly, they are going to look at that email address because the chances are they're going to send you an email. So they have no option but to look at it. They're going to make a judgment because that's what people do. Okay? So think about your email address. If you have to register a new one, register a new email address just with your name and maybe a number, or just your name. But that email address that was funny when you were 13 or 14 won't be so funny when you're applying for a job. So the other thing, predicted grades. Okay, lots of people will only put down their grades they've achieved and they forget about predicted grades. Some people even forget about all their grades. Now, if we have to come back to you and ask you to fill out your grades, even predicted ones, same thing goes again. The position that you are interested in may have already been filled. Okay, so please ensure all of your grades are included, even predicted, because this goes back to the other thing with contact details. If you've put an email address down, check that email. Okay, we get a lot of times where somebody will say to it, "Oh, I didn't check my email," or "I didn't know the number, so I didn't answer the call." Well, just think about that call could be us. So with your application form, it also asks for your hobbies and interests. Okay, now whilst you may think mucking about in the park with your mates is a hobby and an interest, that's a bit of fun. Okay, so in that bit of fun, that's great. You need to have your fun, but it's not a hobby or an interest. Okay, think about what you're putting in there. So with your hobbies and interests, have you been a tortoise tamer? Have you been a circus performer? Have you been a juggler? Do you play for a football team? Are you a member of a synchronised swimming team? Do you do gymnastics? All of these things are vital as hobbies and interests, because it allows us to look at you and say, yeah, we can see there's some commitment there, because they tame their tortoise twice a week. That's commitment. Okay, so please do make sure you fill out your hobbies and interests. Now, the other thing is part-time work or unpaid work. If you can add into your application form any part-time work, any unpaid work you may have done, then that proves to us this word commitment again. And what you'll soon realise, that in industry, that is one of the things that people are looking for. They are looking for that commitment and dedication. So if you've done a paper round when you were younger, tell us. If you still do a paper round now, tell us. If you do voluntary work, tell us about that. That is where you can make the difference to your application above other people. Because if you do voluntary work, that is a big commitment. And you're doing it within the community. So please just make sure it's included. Along with, if you've done Duke of Edinburgh's, tell us about it. We need to know everything there is to know about you, but I can also assure you that will stand you above other people. So, and the final thing that I'm going to close on, because I can probably imagine now you need to get back to taming your tortoise, is that just check your spelling and grammar before you press that apply button. Okay, this is the other thing we see a lot of, is rushed application forms, and you can tell they're rushed because you can tell they haven't been checked. So please just check over them, check you're really happy with them, and in checking over them, I bet you'll find something else to include in there. So that's all from me for now. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll be hearing from you soon.